Hello everyone, I'm Ben, this is Books with Genghis Khan, and today I am excited because we have the results for the R Fantasy Top Novels poll for 2023. It's going on just every 2 years, and this is the best cross-section snapshot we have of the modern fantasy fandom, and we get to see what people voted for. They could put in up to 10 votes for their favorite series or standalones, and I have just loved following this list over the years, seeing what's very popular, seeing where some of my favorites fall, even the less popular ones, and also seeing things change over time and kind of hypothesizing why that might be. I just have a lot of fun with that. So let's dive in and check out this year's results. So unsurprisingly, the first spot is going to the Stormlight Archive. Once again, this has been on top for a bunch of years now, but Middle-earth Universe was very close this time. Just a 9-vote difference separating these. And recency bias is something that heavily affects this list. So it is interesting to see some things that haven't come out in a long time, what their staying power is, and then how current ongoing series or recently finished series end up falling or staying over time. And so Stormlight Archive, I think, benefited the last time from having a lot of excitement around Book 4 coming out. And then Book 4, I think, kind of maybe cooled people's feelings about Stormlight Archive, and so it lost 13%. So even though it didn't change a spot, it actually lost 13% of the votes compared to last time. But the next time, the voting will happen soon after Book 5 comes out, and if that gets received well, I would expect Stormlight Archive to maybe get some more votes next time. And then the big winner within the top 10 is The First Law World by Joe Abercrombie. So all of the votes for the first trilogy, the standalones, and that Age of Madness trilogy get folded into this one vote, which I think does help First Law, because a lot of people would vote for just one of those trilogies. But it all gets folded into this, and it got increased by 18% in terms of its number of votes since last time. So the First Law World just becoming more and more popular, more of a mainstay in this modern fantasy genre. And it will be interesting, since there's not going to be any more books in this for maybe a long time, what the staying power of this will be. But or if this is its peak, kind of at number 3. But very strong showing for Joe Abercrombie. And then A Song of Ice and Fire at number 4. It got boosted up a spot. So any movement in the top 10 is notable, since there are a lot of votes for all of these. And so it takes a big vote change for any differences to come up. And so I think Song of Ice and Fire got 9% more votes from last time. Maybe that was helped by House of the Dragon having a really good reception. I thought it was a great show. And I'm now reading this, and I wouldn't be surprised if by the time this voting comes around next time that I put this on my ballot. But I had only read A Game of Thrones by the time I voted for it this time. And then Mistborn lost 2 spots. So it got 21% fewer votes than last time. I think overall, the number of voters didn't actually increase by that much from 2 years ago. It only increased by I think a few. And so I think in general, people come into our fantasy, they come into adult fantasy, and they get exposed to Sanderson, they try Stormlight Archive, they try Mistborn maybe first, and that becomes a favorite, like it became of mine really quickly. But as I tried many, many more series, I still love Mistborn, but I think a lot of people find other things that they love even more, or that they want to spread the love around to other authors. And so I voted for Stormlight Archive, but I did not vote for Mistborn this time around, because I wanted to vary my votes for different authors. And so I think a lot of people were doing that, although there still are many votes, if you look at all the votes, that are just full of Sanderson. They go Stormlight Archive, Mistborn, Warbreaker, Elantris, even Tress of the Emerald Sea is on this list pretty high, and that had just come out when the voting went live. So there's a lot of recency bias there. But interesting that Mistborn is falling, and The Wheel of Time also fell 2 spots, and it lost 31% of the votes that it had last time. So a huge drop for Wheel of Time. Wheel of Time might have peaked, and the show not being very well received might be affecting this, I think. And then Realm of the Elderlings getting stronger and stronger, moving up a spot. Discworld staying pretty similar. Then Malazan, Book of the Fallen, with a big move into the top 10, up 3 spots. And it gained, I believe, 7% more votes from last time. So a new book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen hasn't been released in a while, and that's just gaining steam. And it's been gaining steam on BookTube. It's been fun to see many more people, including myself, get into Malazan over the last couple years. And then the biggest mover in the top 50, definitely within the top 20, is the Greenbone Saga. So this gained 20 spots from last time. It was at number 30 last time, and it's in the top 10 now. And I think it gained 69% more votes from last time. So that is one of the biggest notable jumps, either up or down, in this year's list. Greenbone Saga is vaulted into the top 10. I'm excited to try this soon. And yeah, it isn't really a recency bias thing, since I think the final book had come out by the time the previous vote took place. So I think just it's gaining steam and more popularity as more and more people are reading it last couple of years. And then Scott Lynch continues to fall. I think Gentlemen Bastards peaked much higher previously, but there hasn't been a book in there for a while. And then Harry Potter continues to fall over the years. Kingkiller Chronicle fell 4 spots, so that's one of the biggest dips in this top 20. And it lost, I think, 59% of the votes compared to what it had last time. So the staying power of this one is not very strong right now. And if a third book ever comes out and it gets well received, I think we'll see this go way up. And same goes for Song of Ice and Fire or Gentlemen Bastards. If the next book comes out and they're well received, I think the votes right after that will show that strong recency bias jump, or maybe a lot of fans who had lost heart came back and started loving it again. But yeah, it's interesting to see those continue to fall over the years. We have some jumps for Red Rising and Dune. Dune staying very strong over these many years. Maybe the movie is keeping that going strong. Dresden Files is a bit of a dip, so that lost 45% of the votes it used to have. And the last vote took place, I think, before the Peace Talks Battleground duology kind of came out. And I think that was the peak of Dresden fandom. I was always seeing love for Dresden everywhere. And then a lot of people, I think, just fell off once those last 2 books came out. And I love them. And I think now, going forward, the Dresden fandom is going to be more of the passionate core fan base. And then Cradle had a big jump. And Will White's been releasing a bunch of books all the time in that. So that series has progressed a lot since the last vote. Murderbot stayed where it was in the top 20. And Broken Earth has been falling. I read this series recently, and I think this is an instance, and there's going to be a couple more of them, where I do think the series benefited from recency bias, where it hit its peak, and then just didn't have that much staying power over time. So Broken Earth is in spot 19. Last time, 2 years ago, it was 5 spots higher, so it was in the top 15, and it lost 33% of the votes it used to have. So series that might continue to dive over the years if it's already losing steam just a few years after last book ended. And then Earthsea has been staying pretty strong for a while. I mean, we haven't had an Earthsea book in many years, but it lost a little bit. And then Locked Tomb sticking around its spot. Witcher losing a couple spots. Another huge jump was Piranesi. I think it had been pretty recently released by the time the voting happened last time, and now it jumped up 36 spots into the top 25, so that one has a very strong showing. I want to read Piranesi this year. Dark Tower staying in the same spot. The Expanse. What's interesting, this being an R-Fantasy subreddit, is that there is a lot of sci-fi that's made the list, but a lot of it is in more of that sci-fantasy category. The Expanse maybe is just, it reads more like a fantasy novel to me than maybe a lot of classic hard sci-fi, which isn't very character focused. So even if this one's not sci-fantasy, it definitely feels much more accessible for fantasy readers, and I loved it. And other things like Sun Eater, you'll see, have made the list this time. Hyperion with a huge jump. I've seen a revival of Hyperion interest in the last year or so on BookTube, so this is not too surprising, but that took a huge jump. And then Susanna Clark with Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. So just Susanna Clark's popularity in general has been booming. Then we have His Dark Materials, Books of Babel, a little bit of a dip. Percy Jackson is still going strong. Hitchhiker's Guide. Wayfarers by Becky Chambers around the same spot. Book of the Ancestor down 11 spots. And the Broken Empire world also moved down. So Mark Lawrence is an author that's been losing steam on these results over the years, which is interesting to me. I've only read one book of his and didn't love it. I'm hopeful for the new release this year, the book that wouldn't burn. But he's an author I think that is very widely read, but maybe doesn't inspire lots of passionate fandom or inspire people to put any of these as one of their favorite series. But it is interesting to see his series fall off on this list. Rhaenyra continues to lose steam on these lists, down 9 spots. Children of Time, so this is just pure sci-fi one that gained a lot of spots. So Tchaikovsky's popularity might be rising. And then John Gwynne, Faithful and the Fallen, up 3 spots. His big jump was in the last voting poll, where he went from way down on the list to inside the top 50. And so Faithful and the Fallen ended many years ago. That's still gaining steam, and that's great to see. That's one of my favorites and has been on my voting list the last couple times. So fun to see that just continuing to stay strong and gain some support. And Goblin Emperor, The Band by Nicholas Eames, losing some steam. We haven't had a book in that for a while, and so that's not surprising. Book of the New Sun with a big jump. And then The Heinous Cycle with Ursula Le Guin getting some more votes. There's a lot of sci-fi standalones in there I want to try. The Tykes Kalan series gaining. Warbreaker losing. Powder Mage losing a couple spots. The Ostenard books, I think they're including Memory Sauerthorn and the sequel books in this one vote for Tad Williams, gained a lot of votes last time from the last poll. And Project Hail Mary is one of the biggest risers, so I think that had just been released when the previous vote took place, so it was actually off the list completely. So basically this just vaulted onto the list for the first time in the top 50, a very strong showing for a standalone, since there aren't too many of those that even make this list at all. And then World of the Five Gods, down a bit. What do we have? We have Ender's Saga, Old Kingdom, Tress. So this one I think is heavily recency bias. So I am going to be very interested to see how many votes Tress gets for the next poll in 2 years, since that's a standalone, and it got 34 votes this time. I wouldn't be surprised if it got many fewer votes next time. Circe by Madeline Miller, down a little bit. Scholomance by Naomi Novik. So I think this is the first time it's appeared in the top 200, basically, and a huge jump into spot 52. I want to definitely try these since I love Temeraire so much. Brent Weeks. So Lightbringer is at spot 53. It is down 25 spots, and it peaked very high a bunch of years ago. And when I started back into adult fantasy in about 2018, it was the names that kept on coming up for me were Sanderson, Butcher with Dresden Files, and Brent Weeks with Lightbringer. And book 5, with it being such a disaster and so poorly received, and people, I think, realizing maybe that Night Angel series is more of a starter fantasy series, and I've just seen Brent Weeks with Lightbringer and Night Angel, they've been going down, down, down over the years, and very interesting. I am never going to read another Brent Weeks book after the way the Lightbringer ended the last 2 books that I just thought were terrible. And so that's interesting that Brent Weeks is not having that staying power. We got Black Company, Berserk. So manga is becoming much more popular among fantasy readers. Not surprising, since a lot of the most popular fantasy booktubers have been doing a lot of manga. And so Berserk is now way up here in the top 100, and a bunch of other manga have made this list as well. The Masquerade by Seth Dickinson, I want to try that. Trader Barra Cormorant. Then One Piece, a big jump. Chronicles of Narnia is going down. The Grishaverse going down. Vaulting onto the list in the top 60 is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. So I love this. It didn't make my top 10 of all time, but I think this might continue to gain steam as he releases more books in this world. So that'll be interesting to see if this was recency bias or if it does gain more steam 2 years from now. And then we have GGK with Tigana gaining some spots, and Kushiel's Universe gaining some spots. One of the biggest jumps in the top 100 is R. Scott Baker with the Second Apocalypse book. So I've seen lots of people getting on that train just this past year, so that's not the biggest surprise, and I want to try that out as well. The Poppy War with one of the biggest dips in the top 100. So I predicted this because the previous poll had been done soon after book 3 came out. There was just hype up to wazoo for R.F. Kuang and the Poppy War at that moment in time, and I myself did not love the last 2 books of the Poppy War, and I didn't really get the hype, even if I did end up loving Babel this past year. But this is not surprising at all. This is having very little staying power in the top 50. It probably peaked last time, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this just continues to fall down as supporters of the Poppy War maybe read more and more within the genre, or it just fades from memory a little bit. And then Library at Mount Shara, standalone I haven't tried, but that gained some spots. Tortall, that's more young adult or middle grade. Sandman gained. The web serials like Parahumans and some of the others on here, they've been losing lots of spots over the years. They're just becoming less and less popular, at least as favorites for people, or maybe just more and more people that don't read web serials, I think, have been voting in this poll over the years. And then Daniel Abraham's Long Price Quartet. I can't wait to try this soon. This gained 23 spots, so seems firmly entrenched in the top 100 now. And it's been out for a long time and continues to gain, which is great. And we have Howl's Moving Castle, The Bloodsworn Saga. I can't wait to try these books. This vaulted into the top 100 this year. After the trilogy is finished, I think that it's very likely this is going to continue to rise. It's been fun to see John Gwynn's rise in stature in the fantasy genre over the last bunch of years. Winter Night, Remembrance of Earth Past. So this is one on my ballot, and it continues to rise, even it being very hard sci-fi on this fantasy voting list. It still continues to gain steam, which is great to see. Love it. Good Omens, The Burning. That's one of the biggest dips in the top 100. Lost almost 40 spots. We haven't had a book in this series in a couple years, so definitely hurt by anti-recency bias, if you will. But once the third book comes out, I expect this to jump again. And I thought there was a huge amount of hype for Rage of Dragons, but I thought Book 2, Fires of Vengeance, was much better, more solid, and just a great sequel. And so I think this might, hopefully, Winter is just going to get better and better as we go in the series. And I do think the core fandom of this series might stay very strong, but maybe it lost that giant hype train. And then M.L. Wong, I think Theonite might be including Sword of Kaigen, but I'm not sure. China Mieville, New Chromosome, Madeline Miller, Song of Achilles, still gaining spots many years after it's published. And then Star Wars gained a lot of spots this time, okay. But Sun Eater, this one made my ballot for the first time, and it's been great to see it vault onto the list in the top 100 for the first time. And it's been going for a long time, but Mike's book reviews really put it on the map, I think, as he did Faithful and the Fallen for a lot of people, including me. And so thanks to Mike, I think this really caught fire this year, and hopefully as it finishes up over the next few years, the last two books, I would just hope that it just keeps on gaining more readers, because it deserves so many. I think so many people would love this, and yeah, just very fun to see it vault into the top 100. This is How You Lose the Time War. Nevermore, I have no clue what this is. Is that a book? Is it a standalone series? Never even heard of this author. GGK, Lions of Al Rassan. I want to read that one in Tigana soon. The Dandelion Dynasty. This one vaulted into the top 100 for the first time, gained 77 spots. This is one I'm going to be reading this year. Can't wait. And then we have Vorkosigan, losing some steam. The Memoirs of Lady Trent, around the same spot. I want to try that one. Divine Cities, I want to be trying that, but lost some spots. It's been a while since that finished up. The Emperor's Soul, still gaining spots, so that has a definitely a core of support. The Mother of Learning, the web serial, gained a lot of spots. GGK's Sarantine Mosaic lost a little bit. Neverwhere lost a little bit. The Rift War Cycle, almost moving out of the top 100, losing 41 spots. So this is something that's more like 80s fantasy. I haven't tried it yet, but a long-running series that I think they're including the Empire trilogy with Jenny Wirtz in this, which might be buoying it up, because I think a lot of people just voted for that trilogy, but not so. I'm not sure even how many people voted for just Feist Rift War stuff, but this is definitely losing steam over the years. Black Tongue Thief, is it? By Christopher Buehlman. This is the first time it's on the list in the top 100. Okay. Inheritance Cycle with Paolini, losing a lot of steam. Lycanius Trilogy, losing 34 spots, almost dipping out of the top 100. This is one that now has been finished up for a few years. Maybe that just peaked with a lot of enthusiasm and recency bias, but haven't tried it yet. Gormenghast gained a lot of spots. Spinning Silver, Naomi Novik, Ocean at the End of the Lane. Kindred, The Last Unicorn I want to try. And then we have some that lost a bunch of spots, like Culture, and The Broken Empire World went down 58 spots. So, yeah, that was in the top 50 before. So Mark Lawrence losing a lot of steam on this list. And other big jumps, let's see, House in the Cerulean Sea. This had so much hype right around the time this voting happened for the last list. It lost 67 spots. Not surprising now that this is no longer in people's top 10 lists. I think it was a pleasant book, but yeah, nothing earth-shattering there for me. Rivers of London I need to try. Niveau gained a lot of spots, up 174 spots, almost in the top 100. And then Tide Child gaining a lot of spots. That's one I want to try. Daevabad Trilogy losing a lot. And then The Martian, Imperial Ratch, Skyward losing some spots. More manga vaulting into the list. This is Full Metal Alchemist. And then, let's see, Chronicles of Amber. A lot of things that I have not tried at this point, but Magicians is one of my favorites, but it's been a while since that finished up and is losing some, I think, overall steam. And then Books of the Raxura I need to try. Dungeon Crawler Carl, self-pub, that's been gaining some support recently, up a lot this time. And then other big moves here. Jeff Vandermeer, big move up. Anything? Anathem by Neil Stevenson. Some new ones on the list. Babel by R.F. Kuang. And The Burning Kingdoms by Tasha Suri. The Bound and the Broken by Ryan Cahill. A lot of these new ones, it'll be curious to see if they continue to rise up the list as the years go by. Five Warrior Angels by Brian Lee Durfee. I'll be reading that this summer. Wonder if that'll make my ballot the next time. Forgotten Realms new on the list. Empire of the Vampire new. Monk and Robot by Becky Chambers new. Novels of the Malazan Empire. I liked some of these, but not others, so that one definitely didn't make my list. Let's see, any others that are worthy to mention here? Let's see. Some of my own votes down here, like Shadows of the Apt, up 8 spots, so I think it did just make the list last time with 5 votes, but it's in the top 200. That one, I hope, just continues to find more readers because everyone that reads it seems to really love it. It's just such a consistent, fast-paced 10-book series with high stakes, easy to get into, lots of creative world building. I'm going to be hoping to see this continue to rise up the list as we go. All right, so yeah, then it finishes out with things that got 5 votes. And there are, I think, around 35 more books or series on this list than on the previous one. So I think, in general, just more of these top 10 ones are getting a lesser percent of the share of people's votes as people are reading more widely, expanding their tastes. Maybe they just spreading their votes around from year to year. So yeah, not sure totally why there's a lot of these top ones are losing votes, but it is interesting to see, and it's fun just to go through the list and see what are people really passionate about, what's making people's favorite of all time list. And this has guided my own TBR. I've been wanting to just see what's popular in the genre and get in on it and see if it vibes with me or if it doesn't. A lot of them from this top 20 I've read and loved, so it's a solid list to go off of if you want to join lots of conversations that are happening on BookTube or on Discord or on Reddit. And so yeah, check it out. I'll put the link for this poll in the description. Go through it. They also have a link for their whole spreadsheet where you can see just all of the individual votes and votes for the authors as well. And yeah, a lot of fun to see this, and I hope you enjoyed going through it with me, and I'll catch you later.